before we start our movie reviews, I got a fun little top five for us.
Mm.
Um, when Jared suggested this top five, I was like, "Oh, that's easy. I can easily do that." And then I just went down this entirely crazy rabbit hole of our top fives to discover our top five cinematic hats. Um,
Mm.
and I'm looking up hat terminology. I'm looking up nomenclature for different like different hats in different cultures. I'm looking up like which color did this character wear, which color hat of the same kind did one character wear in one scene versus another. I'm looking up like all this stuff. And I tried to be really strict on myself. I didn't include any
Mhm.
masks or cowls um, or tiaras. I stuck to the criteria of hats in
Yeah.
cinema. So
And then there's
hopefully,
me who bullshitted every single one of these, except one or two. I guess two. You could make an argument that I have only two, potentially one hats on my list, but it's good to have diversity. That's why we do it. You don't want us both to have actually five hats. That's not why you're so on the edge of your seat about these top fives. You want some spice. You want a little bit of flavor. Why don't you kick us off?
yes, yes. My number five is a very iconic silhouette. Um, it looks good on him with or without a shirt. Of course, I'm talking about the cavalry hat worn by Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore in the film Apocalypse Now. The lovely and talented and multifaceted Robert Duvall is, of course, one of the best to ever do it. I love the unnecessarily tall crown of the cavalry hat. It looks very, very out of place in the jungle. And it's kind of a symbol of his ego, it's a symbol of the way he perceives himself and his military unit. It's also symbolic of the United States ego in that country. They are just basically dropping bombs onto trees from helicopters in a very cowardly way, but they're doing it with a sense of superiority and a sense of uh, grandiose ego. And it's all kind of encompassed by his combination of hat and sunglasses. So
Mm,
yeah, that's my number five, cavalry.
yeah, it's a fantastic choice. My number five is a true hat. We're getting one of the true hats right off the bat. Um, and it's a classic one. It's one that I feel like pretty recognizable, especially with the rest of the getup. It's classy, even though it's a kind of trampy character. That's Charlie Chaplin's bowler hat.
As soon as you said
Um,
trampy, I'm like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking tight. A lot of good visual gags with the hat too.
Mm,
Once fetched $60,000 at an auction when paired with the cane that he had,
crazy.
which is a large amount of money. And yeah, it's just tight. It's classic. Nobody could really pull it off, much like that mustache, than Charlie. And so it's coming at my number five.
Yeah. I think one other person could pull off that mustache, but
Who?
no,
Say
uh,
it. Say
no.
Hitler looks good.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um, yeah. Uh, that mustache really seduced the whole nation. Huh?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Seduced is the correct. Oh boy.
oh my god. All right. My speaking of egomaniacal crazy people, Ordell Robbie is my number four from the film Jackie
Mm.
Brown. I love Samuel L. Jackson in this role, and he wears a Kangol hat. He wears multiple Kangol hats. He wears a red one, a black one, but the one that I want to highlight is the one that you first see him in. It's baby blue. It's a baby blue Kangol hat. You can see the logo because he wears it backwards and like a cool man. Um, and he wears a lot of Kangol hats even in real life. But the thing that I like about the way he is the thing I like about this one is the way that he coordinates it with his royal blue pants. He looks great in the whole frame. It looks dope. And the color choice kind of suggests exactly what he wants you to suggest in the scene, which is a false friendliness and a sense that you're dealing with someone who's a silver tongued devil and someone who can use words to manipulate people and has something sinister behind his eyes. And it's really great because it contrasts with the black Kangol hat later on. Did you see Jackie Brown?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! When he kills Chris Tucker in the film, he wears a black one because he's he's doing evil deeds at night,
Hmm.
stuff like that. It's kind of cool that they put that much effort into a hat that Samuel L. Jackson already wears in real life.
You know,
I really like it.
I saw it's an old interview that I loved already, but it re-popped into my life. Have you seen the interview where he tries to get some white interviewer to say the N-word when he was talking about Django?
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Ugh,
Yeah, what a legend.
love him.
Um, my number four will begin the eye rolling because it's not a hat. But I'm gonna, for the sake of my arguments, I'm gonna stick to my guns and say that it is. Uh, what are hats if not just various headwear? So
Yeah.
it's a helmet. It's a straight up helmet.
It's okay,
And
Jared.
it's a kind of cliche one too. So we're getting bonus points here because it's Boba Fett's helmet. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, might be a hot take putting it over Darth Vader's helmet, but I like Boba Fett's helmet a lot more. It's
Yeah.
basically got Iron Man-esque powers in it, but they did it cooler, I think. It's badass. It's intimidating. It's harkens back to the ancient Mandalorians, and it's just fucking cool. And Boba Fett's a cool ass motherfucker, and so it's my number four.
Hell yeah, dude. Hat or not, it's a great pick because just like less than 5 minutes of screen time inspired countless novels and comics and now a
Right,
whole TV show. So yeah, great pick, great
crazy.
pick. My number three is very different from that one.
Hmm.
But it's very different from all of them because I think what's nice about this hat is that it it really kind of matches the whole character's vibe. It's a black brimmed boater hat with a black band, but it's kind of worn out a little bit, but it's also adorned with flowers and berries. Um, and the character is very sassy. She's very stern. She's very eccentric, but also very radiant and very beautiful, and loves life and loves nature. So of course I have to pick Mary Poppins hat in the 1964 film, um, worn like an absolute champion by Julie Andrews in one of my favorite musicals as a little child. Uh, the hat is incredibly versatile as well. Like it looks great in her entrance. It looks great in her exit at the end of the film. But it also looks great when she's in a red, in a wearing red in the chimney sweep dance sequence. Um, and like her, the hat is just practically perfect in every way. So that's why it's my number three.
Hell yeah. I don't think you'll get any arguments for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my number three, you won't get any arguments either because um, crowns are definitely hats. I've come to the conclusion that they are just hollowed out hats, and so we're counting it.
All right.
Um, this is coming from a show that has many a crown, arguably too many a crown, and it causes a bit of a kerfuffle. And that's Game of Thrones. I don't know. It's a little underrated show. Nobody's ever really seen it. It might be a little too indie for this crowd.
Yeah.
Um, but there's one crown that sticks out to me. It may be a hot take, but if you disagree, fuck you, you're wrong. And that's Renly Baratheon's crown. Uh, made of like antlers, and
Oh,
it's
okay, okay.
fucking tight.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I
I
think
totally.
it's you.
There's
You're the
so many
most
characters,
puzzled.
and yeah, there's so many characters. I forgot who Redley was for a second. It's
Yeah,
like,
he's kind of a fucking nobody,
yeah,
but
he's iconic.
he's got the
Yeah,
most badass crown ever.
true.
It's I don't know. I think it's by far the coolest. Cersei's is pretty sick too, but I think Renly takes it.
Hmm.
Uh, it's awesome. I love it a lot. It's my number three.
My number two is is a white Borsalino made in Italy. The company has been open and selling hats internationally since 1857. The film takes place decades after that, actually. And you know, a lot of us film folks, a lot of us cinephiles love Wong Kar Wai, and they love In the Mood for Love or Chungking Express or Happy Together or Fallen Angels. Like those are always the go-tos for people. But actually, my gateway into Wong Kar Wai was much later. It was the film The Grandmaster, which tells the story of Ip Man. And Ip Man in the film, in the opening scene of the film, is describing his version of kung fu, and he's describing the concept of horizontal and vertical movement in kung fu. And so you see close-ups of him talking about that, and then they cut to close-ups of the hat, which kind of symbolizes both of those things. He was also he never really wore. There's no pictures of him wearing a white Borsalino in real life, but um, he did. He did wear it. He did wear Western clothing in history, so I think it fits. But they cut in between that, in between him describing his philosophy and him beating the shit out of like dozens of men, and it's really
Mhm.
cool. Tony Leung is just recently came out with his first American film, and but I really love this film. I love The Grandmaster. It's generally one of my favorite slow mo sequences, but I love the way the rain bounces off the center dent crown, the black band still like really just really nice contrast with the rest of the white hat. I really love this hat, even though it's kind of a rip off of the hat in Les Samurai, but it's fine.
It's whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen enough of Wong Kar-wai's stuff, so I maybe we need to do an episode on him so I can catch up.
oh sure,
Also, top slow-mo sequences would be a rad top five. Keep
it
that in
would,
mind.
it would.
Um, my number two, it wouldn't be Jared's list without a little bit of comedy in here. And so we're doing it. When I looked up the definition of hat and helmet earlier because I was insecure, and it defined Webster's dictionary. Defined, no, this was before we recorded too. I don't even have it up. I should have pulled it up again. But it said helmets were protective, and hats just kind of were more decorative.
Yes.
This one's not protective. It's all for show. Uh, and for brilliant shows full of artistic mastery. And that's, um, I forget the character's name, but Jorma's helmet in Popstar never stops stopping. Um,
Oh man, that's a great pick. Holy
It's
shit.
got the best light show you ever seen. It's got a giant blinding spotlight on the top.
Yeah.
It plays the sound effect from War of the Worlds. Um, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's a 10 out of 10 helmet and it's not protective, so therefore it's a hat.
There you go. There you go. A hat whose entire purpose is just to outdo Daft Punk. I love it.
Yep. Yo, outdo Daft Punk and shit on Marshmallow and you're good.
Oh man, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
That's a great pick. My number one is also from a comedy, and it's also very, very decorative. I think the reason why this is my number one is because I've only seen this movie once, and it was as a kid. But the image of this woman wearing this hat has been buried into my head, and I think buried into pop culture since it was first out in the public. I'm of course talking about Audrey Hepburn in the film My Fair Lady. She wears a lot of great hats in this film, but specifically the one that I'm talking about is referenced in fashion as a picture hat. But that it's this really like enormous hat that kind of tilts on the right down the right side of her head. It's got really gaudy feathers, and this insane size of the brim is as big as her is as big as her upper body, her entire upper body. And the choice of the colors is absolutely brilliant. She looks amazing in it, even though her character is kind of supposed to be out of her comfort zone in that sequence. The whole premise of My Fair Lady is that this is a woman who grew up poor and is now trying to fit into high society, and she's at this derby race where everybody's dressed in black and white clothing, and she's got black and white clothing, but she's got one red flower in this hat, and it kind of shows that her individuality is still leaking out, and that she retains it despite the societal pressures. So I really love this hat, and I love this performance in this film.
Yeah, I think it's a classic for a reason.
Hell yeah.
And keeping with that theme of in-depth character analysis based off costume design, um, my last one's Dark Helmet. But not the one that you're thinking of. His safari hat when they're combing the desert.
Oh my god, of course. Okay, see, that qualifies. That's not a helmet.
Yeah,
That's
one
an actual,
is a hat.
Yeah, yeah.
That one's an actual hat.
There you go.
And also, it's funnier.
Yeah.
Like the Dark Helmet, actual Darth Vader helmet is hilarious, but the fact that they like keep that theme for just dumb gags like this makes both even funnier.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. If you haven't seen Spaceballs and you're a nerd, weird move. But yeah, the safari hat is fantastic.
Yeah. I love that hat, and I love that scene because it's also the scene where they have the comb the desert gag.
Yeah.
And then they cut to the two black stormtroopers. It's so good.
Oh, it's great. It honestly is probably my favorite scene in that whole movie for all of those reasons.
Oh yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it's great.
Love it.
So number one, Dark Helmet's safari helmet.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm,
Yeah.
you don't need to beat yourself up because I'm proud of both of us for not picking Indiana Jones.
Yeah, or the Sorting Hat in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was tempted to cop out on my number because I was struggling with my number 5. I was tempted to cop out and do that, but I didn't.
It was the low hanging fruit, and we avoided it. Sin
Yeah.
shall not be brought into the world today.
Yep. Good
Before
list. Good
we
list.
yeah, you too. Beautiful.